Clint Eastwood, the legendary actor and director who rose from humble beginnings to become one of Hollywood's most iconic figures, has lived a life filled with both triumphs and challenges. His steely gaze and commanding presence on screen mask a past shaped by adversity. From a childhood marked by constant relocations to the psychological toll of early career struggles, Eastwood's journey to fame was anything but straightforward. He faced crippling anxiety, survived a near-fatal plane crash, and experienced the profound loss of his father. Yet, through it all, Eastwood persevered, crafting a legacy that has left an indelible mark on cinema. But did his turbulent past contribute to the legend he eventually became? Let's take a closer look at the untold story. Born on May 31, 1930, Clint Eastwood entered the world at St. Francis Hospital in San Francisco. He weighed a whopping 11 pounds at birth, leaving nurses astounded and earning him the nickname Samson. Clint's parents, Clinton Sr. and Ruth, née Runner, had a rich family heritage, with roots stretching across English, Scottish, Dutch, German, and Irish lines. He even traced a distant ancestor to one of the passengers aboard the Mayflower. Later, Clint was joined by a younger sister, Jean Bernhard, and together they navigated the difficulties of a life in constant flux. Throughout the 1930s, Clint's father struggled to maintain steady employment, shifting between jobs as a salesman and even dabbling as a detective in San Francisco. The Eastwood family moved frequently, unable to find the stability they longed for. However, by 1940, they found a sense of grounding in the affluent community of Piedmont, California. Clint often reflects on these years, noting that, despite the Depression, his family lived relatively comfortably, with a swimming pool, a country club membership, and all the amenities that came with a life of relative affluence. However, Clint's academic journey didn't mirror the material comfort of his home life. He struggled with school from an early age, and his lack of academic success led to his being held back at Piedmont Junior High due to poor grades. Faced with the challenge of catching up, Clint spent his summer days in remedial classes, but his defiance grew during his time at Piedmont High School, where his rebellious nature truly took hold. Known for his antics, Clint left his mark on the school in memorable ways. A crude message scrawled on the scoreboard and a flaming effigy on the school lawn earned him a swift expulsion. Seeking a fresh start, Clint transferred to Oakland Technical High, but his academic prospects didn't improve much. Although teachers saw potential in him and encouraged his participation in school plays, Clint was uninterested in traditional education. Instead, he found his passions in faster pursuits: cars, girls, and sports like tennis and golf. While he could have excelled as a basketball player, Clint preferred solitary activities that allowed him to pursue his interests on his own terms. This early resistance to authority and reluctance to follow traditional paths would become a recurring theme in his life and career, fueling his later portrayal of iconic independent characters on the silver screen. Despite these early setbacks, Clint's journey was just beginning. The resilience he developed during his challenging youth would prove essential in overcoming the obstacles that lay ahead. His experiences shaped the man who would go on to become one of Hollywood's most enduring legends, with a career spanning decades and a filmography that reflects his own journey of overcoming adversity. Clint Eastwood's early years were marked by a relentless pursuit of diverse skills, from car engines to aircraft maintenance. He became so adept at the piano that a friend recalls his fingers literally bleeding from practice. Yet when it came to graduation, things took a different turn. The details are murky, and friends like Fritz Emmes believe that Clint simply dropped out of school to chase a carefree life elsewhere. In early 1949, with his father relocating to Seattle, Clint found a temporary home with his buddy Harry Pendleton in Oakland. Little did he know, fate had something far greater in store for him. An unexpected invite to a party in Malibu would change his life forever as he met the legendary film director Howard Hawks. That encounter proved to be a significant turning point in Clint's life, leading him toward Hollywood's bright lights. However, Clint's journey to fame wasn't paved with fame or fortune right away. Before Hollywood, there was real work. Clint worked in logging in Springfield, Oregon, spent time as a lifeguard after earning his Red Cross certification, and even played ragtime piano in a local Oakland bar. These humble beginnings may seem worlds apart from the glamorous life he would eventually lead, but they played a crucial role in shaping his character. Was it raw talent and sheer luck that guided him? Or perhaps destiny had a hand in shaping the path that Clint would eventually walk? One thing was clear: he was a man destined for something far greater. In 1951, as the Korean War raged on, Clint Eastwood was drafted into the U.S. Army. However, rather than heading to battlefields, Clint found himself stationed at Fort Ord, California, where he was assigned a much safer job as a swimming instructor. It seemed like a relatively quiet life, but fate was about to throw Clint into one of the most intense experiences of his life. On September 30th, 1951, Clint hitched a ride back to base from Seattle, but what was supposed to be a routine flight soon turned into a nightmare. The weather was immediately unfavorable, with bad conditions from the start. As the flight progressed, disaster struck. The plane's back door flew open. Clint, ever resourceful, managed to rig a makeshift fix, but then the plane's radios and oxygen systems cut out, compounding the growing tension. What followed was nothing short of a life-or-death scenario. The plane's fuel started running low, and they were lost in thick fog miles off the California coast. With no other option left, the pilot made the difficult decision to ditch the plane. A situation that seemed bad only worsened when the prospect of sharks loomed large. Clint and the pilot quickly inflated rafts, trying to paddle toward the shore in an attempt to escape the ocean's grip. But the ocean fought back. The waves overturned Clint's raft, forcing him to swim a grueling 2 to 4 miles, depending on which account you read. This was not just a test of endurance. It was a battle against nature itself. Here's where Clint's time as a swimming instructor turned out to be more than just a safe, quiet assignment. It was potentially the edge that saved his life. Exhausted, disoriented, and struggling with hallucinations as he swam through bioluminescent water, Clint pushed forward with the determination that would later define his career. Against all odds, he made it to shore, cold, exhausted, and shocked by the experience. But the story didn't end there. As if pulled from the pages of a thriller, Clint stumbled into an RCA radio station. And there, in a bizarre twist of fate, he reunited with the pilot, who, miraculously, had also survived the harrowing ordeal. This near-death experience would prove to be just one chapter in Clint Eastwood's fascinating, unpredictable life, a story that would eventually unfold on the silver screen. But it wasn't just luck or coincidence that brought him this far. It was a mix of grit, resilience, and an unyielding drive to overcome whatever life threw at him. And this was just the beginning. Years later, Clint Eastwood would take on one of his most iconic roles in Escape from Alcatraz, playing Frank Morris, an inmate who daringly escapes the infamous island prison by swimming across the frigid San Francisco Bay. Art imitating life seemed fitting. After all, Clint's real-life experience of surviving near-death situations would give him the grit that made his on-screen escape so utterly believable. His time in the military, although filled with hard work, shaped him in ways that would later fuel his resilience. Alongside his military duties, Clint had a side hustle working for a sugar company, supplementing his modest $67 monthly pay. And there were the rumors of his romance with an officer's daughter. After all, good connections never hurt. Even during this early chapter of his life, Clint's sense of adventure and aspiration were clear. A trip to Carmel left a lasting impression on him, and he famously remarked, "Someday I'd like to live here." His military buddies included future TV stars like Richard Long and Martin Milner, providing Clint with a glimpse of the entertainment world that would soon beckon him. By the 1970s and early 1980s, Clint Eastwood made a dramatic shift in his career. Trading his spurs for a bad B, he swapped the dusty plains of westerns for the urban streets of gritty thrillers. This era saw Clint Eastwood introduce the world to Dirty Harry, the iconic San Francisco cop who wasn't afraid to bend the rules in his pursuit of justice. The role cemented Eastwood as a symbol of defiance, someone willing to challenge authority to do what was right. This theme of the rogue with a badge continued in films like Thunderbolt and Lightfoot and The Gauntlet, where Eastwood's characters navigated blurred lines between morality and legality, often questioning the rules they were supposed to follow. But Clint wasn't just the tough guy on screen. He also showed his comedic chops in the Every Which Way films, where he starred alongside his orangutan companion, Clyde. The films brought a lighter, more humorous side to Clint's persona, further proving his versatility as an actor. The era of action-packed roles culminated with Escape from Alcatraz, a chilling and suspenseful thriller where Clint's acting prowess shone in a new light. He proved that his talents weren't limited to playing heroes. He could convincingly portray a desperate convict trying to escape a seemingly impenetrable prison. His nuanced portrayal of Frank Morris showcased the depth of his acting, and this role would become one of his most memorable. But tragedy struck while Clint was working on the 1975 thriller The Eager Sanction. During the filming of a mountain climbing sequence, the crew experienced a devastating accident. David Nollies, a mountain climber who was working as a stunt double, needed a few more shots to complete the scene. He teamed up with fellow climber Mike Hoover to finish the task. But things went terribly wrong. Though they successfully captured the footage they needed, disaster struck soon after. An unexpected rock slide during the filming of The Eager Sanction sent a massive boulder crashing toward the men as they stood precariously on a narrow ledge. Mike Hoover, one of the climbers, was severely injured, suffering a fracture, while tragically, David Nollies, a stunt double, lost his life. The chilling part of the story was the eerie similarity to a scene the crew had filmed just days before. One of the surviving climbers recalled the shock of seeing the same location they had staged for the film, only now it wasn't just acting. We flew up to that same location, and there was the scene that we had been faking for 2 days. Dave Nollies hanging dead on the end of the rope. It was unbelievable. Fantasy and reality came head-on. The loss was devastating for Clint Eastwood. As the director and a key figure in the project, he felt an overwhelming sense of responsibility for the accident and was paralyzed by grief. For a moment, he even considered abandoning the entire film. However, his crew, fully understanding the dangerous risks involved in filmmaking, urged him to continue. They believed that the best way to honor David Nollies' memory and dedication was to complete the project, recognizing the dangerous nature of their craft while carrying forward the spirit of the work they had all committed to. This painful experience marked a pivotal moment in Clint's life, forcing him to confront the harsh realities of filmmaking and the cost of artistic ambition. As Clint moved into the 1980s and early 1990s, his roles on screen began to evolve dramatically. No longer the simple tough guy he was known for in earlier years, his characters became more complex and burdened by their pasts. In Firefox, Clint portrayed a pilot struggling with the trauma of PTSD, while in Tight RPP, he played a cop haunted by the relentless pursuit of a dangerous criminal. These characters no longer just battled external villains. They were at war with themselves, confronting their own personal demons. The theme of inner conflict continued to play out in The Rookie, where Clint's obsessive pursuit of a case put those around him in danger, and in White Hunter, Black Heart, where he played a film director obsessed with hunting elephants in Africa, further exploring the complexity of desire and obsession. But it was Unforgiven in 1992 that truly marked the pinnacle of this phase of Clint's career. Returning to his Western roots, Clint portrayed a haunted ex-outlaw, grappling with the violent past that had shaped him. His portrayal of William Money, a retired gunslinger seeking redemption, was both raw and vulnerable, breaking away from the tough guy archetype Clint had often played. This role earned Clint Eastwood an Academy Award for Best Director and a Best Picture nomination, solidifying his status as one of the most accomplished directors and actors of his generation. The 2000s and beyond introduced a new phase in Clint Eastwood's career, one that embraced his grumpy old man persona, which resonated with audiences on a deeper emotional level. In Space Cowboys, Clint played an aged astronaut, finally getting his long-awaited shot at space travel, a role that captured both his physical aging and his unyielding spirit. In Bloodwork, Clint portrayed a retired profiler whose declining health hindered his ability to hunt a killer, exploring themes of mortality and redemption. But it was in films like $1 Million Baby, where Clint played a reluctant boxing trainer, and Gran Torino, where he portrayed a racist war veteran finding redemption through an unlikely friendship, that Clint truly embraced his gruff, world-weary persona. These films showed that despite his age, Clint Eastwood remained as powerful a force in Hollywood as ever. His latest film, Cry Macho, continues this theme of the grumpy, aging man navigating life on his own terms. This time, Clint plays a weathered horseman on a journey through rural Mexico, further cementing his place as the elder statesman of cinema, capable of delivering a performance that balances raw emotion with his signature toughness. Through decades of change, Clint Eastwood has remained one of the most enduring figures in Hollywood, showing that, much like his characters, age will never define his legacy. Clint Eastwood's personal life has been as dramatic and complex as any role he's played on the big screen. His first marriage to Maggie Johnson in 1953 was initially seen as a pursuit of stability. Though Eastwood was hesitant about settling down at first, he eventually made the leap into marriage. However, the domestic bliss that seemed to define their early years soon began to unravel. Restlessness took hold, and extramarital affairs became a recurring theme throughout their relationship. The first consequence of his infidelity was the birth of a daughter, Lori Murray, conceived during a secret affair. Unbeknownst to Eastwood at the time, Lori was placed for adoption. Years later, another affair resulted in the birth of Kimberly L. Despite Maggie being aware of his infidelities, the couple stayed together for a time, even welcoming 2 children of their own, Kyle and Allison. However, the cracks in their marriage were widening, and by 1979, rumors of Eastwood's involvement with his co-star Sandra Locke began to surface, eventually leading to the couple's final separation. The ramifications of Clint Eastwood's romantic decisions reached far beyond the tabloid headlines. His relationship with his children, particularly Kimber Eastwood, has been marked by conflicting narratives. At times, Kimber has described a strong bond with her father, but on other occasions, she has spoken of feeling neglected and frustrated. She even claimed to have pleaded for a closer relationship with him. The story of Lori Murray adds yet another layer of complexity to Clint's personal history. Adopted as a baby, Lori did not discover her biological father until the 1990s, when she hired a private investigator to track him down. When she reached out, Eastwood welcomed her into his life, but it remains unclear whether he had ever actively sought her out or if he simply wasn't aware of her existence before the revelation. This situation deepened the mystery of Clint's relationships with his children and added another chapter to the tumultuous narrative of his personal life. Eastwood's extramarital relationships continued to shape his life and legacy. His affair with stuntwoman Roxanne Tunis began on the set of Rawhide, and their relationship lasted a reported 14 years, resulting in the birth of their daughter, Kimber. Clint has claimed that he didn't initially know that Kimber was his child, and this pattern of keeping his children secret would repeat itself later. Despite his numerous relationships, it was clear that Eastwood's personal life was defined by secrecy and complexity, with many of his children remaining hidden from public view for years. Sandra Locke entered Clint's life in 1972, even though he was still married to Maggie Johnson. Locke, at the time, was in a platonic marriage with her childhood friend. Their on-screen chemistry in The Outlaw Josie Wales quickly turned into a passionate and turbulent affair. However, their relationship was not without its problems. Locke later alleged that Eastwood, against her wishes, pressured her into having multiple abortions, which led to further emotional turmoil. This toxic dynamic lasted for over a decade, eventually resulting in ugly lawsuits that accused Eastwood of fraud and broken promises. Locke's accusations painted a portrait of Eastwood as a man who used his power and charm to manipulate those around him, often at the expense of personal responsibility. As Clint Eastwood's career continued to thrive, his personal life began to unravel in ways that mirrored the complex, often contradictory characters he portrayed on screen. While he became famous for playing morally steadfast figures, his real-life struggles told a far more complicated story. His romantic relationships and the fallout from his extramarital affairs shaped his legacy, not just as a filmmaker and actor, but also as a father. Clint's journey through love, fatherhood, and personal turmoil was anything but straightforward, and his relationships with his children were often fraught with tension, missteps, and, eventually, reconciliation. Like many of his most iconic roles, Clint's life was a study in contradictions, tough and resilient on the outside, but deeply vulnerable, bearing the emotional scars of his past. While his relationship with Sandra Locke remained part of Clint's life for some time, another significant chapter began when he met flight attendant Jocelyn Reeves. Their brief affair resulted in the birth of two children, Scott and Catherine. Around the same time, Clint crossed paths with actress Frances Fisher, and for her, it was love at first sight, despite the lingering presence of Locke in Clint's life. Clint and Fisher embarked on a passionate romance that eventually led to the birth of their daughter, Francesca. However, their relationship was weighed down by Clint's secret children with Reeves, ongoing rumors of infidelity, and the constant scrutiny of the paparazzi. Despite their deep connection, the pressure of Clint's past, combined with the challenges of navigating a high-profile relationship, ultimately caused their romance to fall apart, marking the end of another turbulent chapter in his personal life. In 1992, Clint met news anchor Dana Ruiz, and their whirlwind romance quickly blossomed. By 1996, they were married, and soon after, they welcomed their daughter Morgan. For a brief period, it seemed that Clint had found a sense of stability and peace, with a family that appeared to fit the public's image of a more settled man. However, this tranquility was short-lived. The rise of a reality show featuring Dina clashed with Clint's fiercely private nature, and the cracks in their relationship began to show. Tensions escalated further when Dina sought comfort from an old friend, Scott Fisher, while Clint, in turn, began dating his ex-wife, Erica Tomlinson Fisher, in 2013. This complex web of relationships eventually led to Clint's marriage with Dina falling apart. As one chapter in Clint's personal life ended, another began. In 2015, Clint found love with Christina Sandera, a hostess, and the couple has kept their relationship largely private. Despite their discretion, the couple has attended various events together, suggesting a sense of calm and maturity in their dynamic. This more private phase of Clint's life has been marked by a sense of reconciliation with his past. He has been seen attending events alongside his exes and children, signaling a newfound amicability and maturity in his later years, where the turmoil of his earlier relationships seems to have settled into a more peaceful existence. In recent years, Clint's health has become a subject of public concern. After a period of being out of the public eye for over 450 days, rumors began to swirl regarding his well-being. His last public appearance had been in February 2022 at the AT&T Pro-Am Golf Tournament, an event Clint typically attends near his home. His absence from the 2023 tournament, where his son Scott was competing, only fueled the concerns of those who feared that the legendary actor and director might be struggling with his health. Despite these concerns, Clint Eastwood has remained a resilient figure in the public eye, continuing to live life on his own terms and maintaining his privacy while still staying active in his professional pursuits. Through decades of personal and professional challenges, Clint's ability to persevere and reinvent himself, both on-screen and off, has ensured his enduring place as one of the most respected and fascinating figures in Hollywood. Clint Eastwood's absence from the 2023 AT&T Pro-Am tournament, where his son Scott was competing, sparked growing concerns among those close to him. For over 450 days, Clint had kept a relatively low profile, leading many to wonder if the 93-year-old legend had been facing health struggles. His lack of public appearances during this time raised questions about his well-being, and speculation about his health only intensified as fans, and the media anxiously awaited his next public move. However, Clint put those rumors to rest with a rare public appearance at Jane Goodall's conservationist event in his hometown of Carmel by the Sea. This appearance marked a triumphant return to the public eye. Clint was seen smiling and chatting with Goodall, appearing in good spirits and looking healthier than expected. Photos from the event showed the iconic actor and director with longer hair and a full beard, dressed in a casual yet stylish outfit. His positive demeanor and good health seemed to quiet the concerns surrounding his absence, signaling to the world that despite his advanced age, Clint was still very much active and engaged with the world around him. Clint Eastwood's rare public re-emergence served not only as a moment of reassurance for his fans, but also as proof that his professional journey was far from over. Following his return to the spotlight, Clint was spotted on the set of Juror Number 2, a courtroom drama that he both directed and produced. This marked his return to the director's chair, and it was clear that his passion for filmmaking remained as strong as ever. Despite his advancing years, Clint Eastwood's commitment to his craft showed no signs of diminishing. He remained deeply involved in his work, demonstrating that he was still an influential figure in the film industry. His continued presence behind the camera further solidified his legacy as one of Hollywood's most respected filmmakers and actors, showcasing that he still had plenty to offer to both his fans and the world of cinema. In addition to his professional achievements, Clint also maintains a disciplined approach to his health. He follows a low-fat, high-protein diet, carefully managing his cholesterol levels, a practice likely learned from his father, who tragically passed away young from cardiovascular disease. This commitment to health has had a profound influence on Clint's family, particularly on his son, actor Scott Eastwood. Scott frequently credits his father as his primary fitness inspiration, sharing how Clint taught him to lift weights as a teenager and instilled in him the importance of maintaining a healthy, active lifestyle. Like his father, Scott follows a strict, nutrition-focused diet, avoiding indulgence in favor of nourishing his body with the right foods, a lifestyle rooted in the values Clint instilled. Whether on set, acting or directing, attending conservation events, or simply enjoying time with his family, Clint Eastwood continues to lead a purposeful life fueled by passion. His dedication to both his career and personal well-being reflects his belief in longevity and personal growth. Throughout the years, Clint has maintained the same intensity and vigor that have defined his remarkable career, proving that age doesn't limit his energy or ambition. As he enters his later years, Clint refuses to be defined by age. Instead, he continues to embrace life with the same resilience, dedication to excellence, and unwavering energy that have guided him throughout his journey. His ability to stay driven and passionate serves as an inspiring testament to his enduring strength and commitment. Clint Eastwood's ongoing dedication to both his career and his health offers an inspiring example of how to age gracefully while still pushing the limits of one's passions. His remarkable career, which spans decades, is a testament to his ability to stay active and engaged in both his personal and professional life. His continued influence and impact on Hollywood prove that there is always more to accomplish and more to give, no matter one's age. With an unwavering sense of purpose, Clint Eastwood remains a beloved and influential figure in the entertainment world, reminding us that the drive for success and fulfillment knows no bounds. We appreciate you taking the time to watch. If you enjoyed this video, please show your support by liking, commenting, and subscribing. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Your feedback and engagement help us bring you more content you love. Thanks again for being a part of our community, and we look forward to sharing more with you soon.